There you go. How's that, boys? Anyway, let me roll back a little bit here. Happy Friday. Happy Friday. Welcome back. It's the weekend. The market's crashing because it's down. What? It's down almost a percent or something. It's fucking crashing. Um, let's get it all out there. Probably gonna be a green Friday. Probably a green Friday already. Um, in terms of where we're opening up, we're down basically 0.5%. And when you put it into perspective of everything we've seen, that's pretty phenomenal. It's pretty phenomenal when you put it all together. The earnings have been just again. Momsky posted an article, and then if you look at anybody, and I talked about this, is exactly what was going to happen once the earnings come, exactly what we'd be getting for headlines. It writes itself. The bullshit writes itself. It doesn't really take a I mean, there's rocket scientists out there working in finance, but it doesn't take a rocket scientist to see that the fucking expectations were very low for what we already knew was going to be a significant quarter, right? And so this is again where it's not so much that the earnings matter, it's the idea and sort of the again this expectation of what's to come with inflation and whether or not that's a negative to some of these mega caps. They have transcended this idea that inflation is going to be discounting their future growth, because technically it does. Technically it does, with inflation going up, take away from growth a little bit. Well, how have they counteracted that and transcended that? They're spending money. They're spending an ass load of money. They're making an ass load of money, but they're spending even more while still making money somehow, right? And so this is where we have buybacks. Buybacks is one solution. We have Apple 430 billion a month, Amazon taking over the world, Facebook somehow not dying, right? The Google and Microsoft being just the software kingpins of the world, right? And they're just not going away. They're not going away. They've monopolized the entire thing. And the earnings are really stupid. It's pretty stupid, right? And this is again where it does not, we already know this. We already know, right? And so what have we been doing? We've been going long. Now, there's two schools of thought of what exactly happens from here, right? One is that you get, and here's the market view. The market view right now is that there is no volatility. And if you can read about sort of something just came out in Financial Times today, talking about uh, maybe I'll bring it up here. This gamma hammer trade is what they're calling it. Let me see if I can find it here. And the idea here you go, gamma hammer, right? Sounds a lot like what I talk about, but it's the opposite of what I speak about. And it's that we have trades coming in that they're betting on such low volatility that there's going to be no gamma moves anywhere. And so all they're doing is selling calls and puts in a channel. And as long as the strikes, as long as it doesn't go above or below those strikes and stays within that channel, they make the money on the spread from the fee. But if it's outside of that, then they lose a fuck ton of money. What we bet on is we do the opposite, right? We do the opposite where we bet on volatility to come after, and all what we're really doing is trying to figure out the timing in which that's going to happen, right? Now, that's of course why the spot VIX has been down by so much, because everyone's just shorting vol. That's just what we've been in. So what does that translate to here? That translates to this being very slow. Basically, putt-putt, hanging out and doing nothing for a while. There was an understanding that coming out of this breakout here that we were going to, growth was going to catch back up once I got over the yield scare and this inflation kind of became a baseline. But again, over here, it's now becoming very, very apparent. It's becoming very apparent that everyone is jumping on this sort of bandwagon of no volatility. Now, I, of course, myself, even translated over to a longer term trending thinking, but I've still acknowledged the fact that even coming in right before earnings, that we should be betting on some moves that are larger than this pace that we've been on, which is what's happening right now. But it's not across the board. And so that's where these institutions, they're doing these bets on the average. That's why we can trade this average. But again, this is being confined to really this, you could fit a fucking line through this. It's going to be like that for a while. That's why we need to go into the individual tickers themselves and go make moves there, right? And when we look at the ability that we have to go take these trades, this is where you have to get alpha and you have to get the money here, because every other trade we're making, everyone else is making it, and they're also sort of putting a barrier on us. This is where I have not explained it very well when I've talked about it, and so what I'm trying to reiterate on today is that when you have these institutions placing these short vol bets by selling calls and puts, and by basically creating this channel around these positions, what they're really doing is infusing supply, and just a big injection of supply. And so what's happening is you're basically getting no movement. By virtue of them doing that, it's just the same dynamic of when we talk about placing bets and causing something to happen because of the bets. It's the same as when institutions are doing this and really creating a perimeter that you can't get out of, and you don't end up getting any vol. And that's sort of the problem with some of those trades that you can be in, that everyone's in. You're not going to get many points, and so you actually get stuck. And what you also get stuck in, and that this is where we have a little bit more ability to be nimble and sort of get in and out and transition, is that once you start doing that, it's very hard to stop. It's going to be very hard for institutions to stop doing that because it's very simple money. They sell some calls, sell some puts. You don't really ever lose money on it. And I've talked about this in the past, that basically shorting volatility is like buying bonds. Without the problem of buying bonds right now, is that what's happening right now? Well, if you buy bonds and there's inflation, you just bought a fixed asset that's going to be basically losing value over time, as it's not moving with inflation, right? And that's why people sell bonds when there's inflation, right? And so by doing this, it's basically a fixed, this fixed term rate that you're getting, but you don't have to worry about inflation in the same way. And it's not as long term. And so there is benefits there, but people get caught up in that. It's better to remove ourselves from those equations. And this is where, when we go look into the data, we can see these orders getting placed. We know where, it's like if you're driving on the fucking road, you can see the big trucks driving on the road. Just, drive around them. Do your own little thing in your little fucking Honda Civic, whatever you're doing, right? In your Uber. That's where we're at. And so there has been some interesting things. I thought it was interesting. This article is not very good, by the way. I'll be honest with you. It was, the explanation of gamma is actually kind of, they're purposely trying to make it elementary. So if anyone does read this, they're purposely trying to make it elementary, but they're not actually explaining gamma correctly. So yeah, anyway, that's one critique for that. So but anyway, I thought it was funny that headline popped up, because we were just sort of talking about this. You can see it in the market when it looks like the market's starting to hedge, but then it's hedging, but it's again this strategy of basically betting that there's not going to be much volatility and that price is just going to continue, right? Which is what we've been talking about. I mean, everyone just expects the market to continue to go, but without much speed. I think we're going to be on some fucking hard drugs here, right? And we're seeing it, and that's the problem. You're getting, and then this is where you get a weird day like today where, or here's a good example. I talked about this. We had this whip yesterday, right? And you'll get something like this. The whip yesterday, it's going to, we go from this sideways trading. Think about it. How did we go from sideways trading, right, all week, basically, right? And then have mega caps gapping up like 6-7% every single day. How is it that the market stayed flat, right? And you start to put these things into perspective, and you can see how this shorting volatility bet is controlling and confining us into this space, and we're getting counteracting sort of moves. Facebook gaps up 8%. What happens to Twitter? I posted a funny chart. Michael Batnick posted that on Twitter. If you look in the bullshit channel, 26 billion Q1 for Facebook, 1 billion for Twitter. It's not even fucking close, right? So it's like These things make sense. What is the percentage there? Well, basically Twitter losing 13% is basically equal to Facebook equaling or gaining 1%. So they're basically, it kind of makes sense here. These things kind of add up. These moves, this is what's happening. You're getting the most bullish and sort of sought after tickers gaining. And then those that are you want to use the word direct competition, but it's more of a flow phenomenon, and it's a dollar value phenomenon. This is where the percents get kind of grimy because we can say that Twitter's been performing very well here, right? But the dollar amount that it costs to move Twitter a percent compared to Facebook a percent are very different things. In Facebook, what have we been talking about? This is the leader. It has been the most bullish. And so when you put these into perspective, and I've talked about, like, I make the joke of, if you've been sleeping all week, what are you going to buy? If you're buying junk compared to something that's just inherently bullish, right? And we've sort of gone through these checklists, and we're going to go through them here before we start, but these things are, they're ideas, and it's just sort of there, and we understand them, that, okay, this is just better. Do you want to be owning Facebook or Twitter? Which one do you think is better, right? And which one do you, like, these things they're qualitative ideas, but they are quantitative, that everyone just it's quantitative in the sense that you have no advantage because everyone understands the quantitative side. The qualitative side is the only difference that we have in the market, and then you can like one thing over something else. But there's going to be people that are right and people that are wrong. These things really paint themselves, and it's really it's straightforward in hindsight, of course. But if you look at what's been performing well during sort of this last week or so, when we've gotten into earnings here, it feels really silly, right? It does feel a little silly if you've missed some of the trades. And then it does ask the question where some people will be like, wow, I should have just bet on earnings here. And it's like, just bet on the fucking market. If you look at the average, if you bought every single ticker in the market, so you just bought Spire, you bought Spire Qs or DIA for the Dow, you would be up, right? You just get exposure to everything because, again, it's silly to go buy one thing and then you lose on that while everything else is up, and you're like, how am I buying the one thing that went down and everything's going up? That means, again, you're trying to make a story for yourself, that you're reading Twitter and you're reading headlines and you're making a story, and you're convincing yourself to buy something because of that, and you're making decisions that are not very good. These things are very straightforward, right? The reason why we buy things are very straightforward. The price is going up. We're going to buy it. It's on a trend. We're going to buy it. It's coming into a support, but it's been bullish overall, so we're going to buy it. Like, these things are very straightforward, and we don't use silly ideas that have nothing to do with anything. We use confirmation afterwards, like Apple spending $430 billion. I feel a lot better. I feel a lot better about holding my position here when I read shit like that, right? But how would you ever be buying on anything before that for that idea? Did you have any fucking clue? No, of course not. Of course not. But it's in the price action, right? It's in here. The reason to buy is here. The reason to buy is here. It's very straightforward, right? Why is Google up so much? Well, it's really easy now to be like, well, fuck, they spent $50 million on themselves up here. Obviously, this is probably Google right here, right? It's really easy in hindsight to say that, but I mean, think about it. Is it not really right in fucking front of you, like slapping you in the face? It's happening again right now, and that's the problem. Today, we're opening lower. How many of you are actually going to buy at Lowe's today? Again, not Lowe's the store unless you need a new wrench or something, but how many of you are going to buy on some of the lows that are going to come in today and over the weekend, right? There's probably 90% of you here are just holding because you're already in positions, right? The other 10% of you that haven't done much of anything, maybe you've been just trying to get into things, but you keep failing to get in them. I've talked about the stopping idea. The idea of right now is the worst time to be buying something and then getting out of it immediately, because then again, that means that there is something fundamentally wrong with the reasoning behind why you're taking a trade, right? no matter if you're trying to line up support or buy on what we believe a rally coming in this trend here. If you're buying something and then getting out the next day or that day, this is again, what's the mentality we've been on right now? The best time to buy was yesterday. If you've used that idea over the last month and a half, you'd be basically doubled your money already, right? In any options that we've been looking at, right? And that's where again, yesterday we had some trades that came to lows. Now I talked about things like Ford. I didn't want to touch trades like this. This is up 0.5%. Whether or not we're going to put this kind of trade on today, I've talked about EVs and clean energy are really off the books right now. These are things that we don't understand, and nobody does. And when we talk about inflation and how what inflation does is it's discounting the future of growth. It's these growth tickers that are obviously the ones getting hurt, and it's based on the price action here on some of these growth tickers, things like solar and even through some of the EV action, right? We're seeing that discounted growth affect the price now, which we're not seeing on things like mega caps and some of these other software companies and things that have been bullish, right? Those are inherent differences, and there's intrinsic value there that we can see and that we can trade on, just like we trade value because it's intrinsic right now. We know that industrial companies are getting money right now, and even though their value and their earnings don't grow, we know that's just cash injection. And so it's a fundamental idea that we just trade through the technicals because we know it's a macro long-term idea and people are going to put fucking money behind it, right? And so we can go buy things that, we've made this X trade 100 times and we've been buying the Dow. We buy banks because banks are just intrinsically getting value from this idea. In every single negative that comes in is actually a positive in the long term. So, which would be rising interest rates, right? And so we just continue to buy banks. We've been buying energy every single time there's that. Again, here's a good example of this is a fundamental idea to be buying on energy, but we take it on a technical understanding and we buy at a low here and continue the trade. Now it's down 1.5% today. What are we going to do on that? Depending, again, it depends on the timing here, but based on our biases right now, we're holding through the pullback that may come here because we're taking a trade that is a long-term, it's a long-term trade and understanding. And so even though we may, in some circumstances, in a different timeline, be swinging these trades, right? I've posted at least 30 different energy charts over the last month or so. In a lot of circumstances, we'd be swinging these from support up to the resistance, taking it on the pullbacks, re-entering it after. Right now, we know that through what's happening and the ways the flows are working, it's not like that flow, it's being taken profit here and then going to clean energy. These things are not changing day to day. These things are going to stay until fucking next year, right? We just got more economic numbers, right? And again, you don't even need to understand the economic numbers to understand that the price action is it's not so much reacting. That's not the thing that's happening. It's just trading with it. And it's in that moment it's trading. It's like semiconductors. What's happening with semiconductors? It's probably the most important factor in terms of logistics that we see right now is that semiconductors are affecting everybody. There's a massive shortage. There's a massive shortage in every single earnings call. Companies have complained that they don't have any chips to put in their whatever they're making, right? We see this in the price action. And we've talked about this idea that basically supply being in demand, it's going to cause prices to increase. The supply goes down, price goes up. And we've seen that so far. But even with these earnings calls that have came, we've seen that negative reaction affecting the price. And it confirms that this is a bullish move to the upside. It's hard to be like, oh yeah, there's a shortage in semis, so price is going to go up. And then you see some negative reactions, right? When we look at some of the different price action, you see negative reactions. This is a good sign for the upside because we actually have a reaction to what's happening in this moment, but what's going to happen thereafter. Manufacturing, we have a significant problem. We need to make a lot more stuff faster. You know what the problem is? We don't really have enough people or infrastructure to do so. Well, let me tell you about something great. The United States of America has decided to spend trillions of dollars, an absolute shit ton of money, more money than ever in human history. Trillions and trillions of dollars, specifically for infrastructure and manufacturing, about $2.2 trillion. These things are solving themselves. And the more that things are in demand, the more it's going to cause this other side to spend money. And it's just constant cash injection. These price movements that we see now are a little technical, but these are, again, opportunities to be buying. It doesn't really matter what you want to tell yourself of why the price is coming up or coming down day to day, when there's nothing that can stop. There's nothing that could stop any of these prices from appreciating. There's nothing that can stop. So again, even just that idea about when we come all the way to the average, when you look at those individual sectors of how they're getting money and how the demand is increasing and how spending will increase the output, which is going to positively affect the rest of companies involved, positively affecting prices, the market as a whole is going to benefit at a consistent rate. And again, the government is injecting money every single fucking day. And it's just nonstop. And we haven't even really got started. The money isn't even here yet. And look where we are, right? This is just the Fed, $120 billion a month. That right now is again, it was the only thing pushing prices up. But now what we've done is we've started this cycle in this ride. And there's nothing that could stop it from moving. There's nothing. You tell me why any pension would remove their money from the equity market. Right now, every single fund and institution out there is removing money from the bond market. The bond market, no one wants bonds. Nobody wants bonds because they can see that the economic boom that's coming is going to far outpace any fucking yield you put on those bonds, right? Who knows how high yields will go? That's one of the funnier things that, I mean, I know a lot of you don't care about bonds, but the funniest thing is that yields could go fucking through the roof and no one wants to buy them still because there's so much yield to be had here, right? When you talk about, this is where, again, I've talked about, you zoom out here. If you just do this again this year, we're talking about, okay, where's December? Oh, here's the new year right here. That's a lot of fucking money, is it? Is it not? Yeah. And that's the most likely occurrence. That's the most likely occurrence. But that's the average. That's the average. If we actually get the inflation right now, right, which is what I think is happening. Right now, what basically the thing is that we're going to have to wait for a year to see if the inflation's actually here, right? But I think what's going to happen instead is that, again, you're getting this speculation of it. And what happens when you get a lot of speculation is this sort of this fire that's being lit in a very positive way. Again, you can say bubbles or whatever you want. It doesn't matter because we're going to trade it and ride it no matter what. And really, this would be just the average velocity the market trades on. The thing is here is that I'm contrary to the belief that we are going to have very low volatility, which would be, again, all of this gamma hammer or whatever fucking dumb name that we're giving it now, is that this price is going to just trade on this trend line in a channel without much volatility for basically the next year. That's what all the bets are. Look at the spot VEX, right? It's at fucking zero. My idea is that how the market has been trading with this volatility, an elevated volatility in the short term, which does not show itself in the VIX. But what we trade in with this, again, this idea of gamma, is that you're going to get these moves where price is doing this, right? Let me remove this. And this is the area in which we have profited on the most, is that you get price action like this, right? And it's trading within and bouncing within channels in such a way that you trade up to here, you trade back down. You trade up to here. Now you can say, well, this is trading within a channel or something, right? There's a big difference between having a move that you move up like 10 fucking percent, like this kind of move here, and then consolidating and then moving again and just moving in a straight line without much movement. You need an example, go right before the COVID crisis and go look at this price action. This is how markets move. Indexes do not fucking move. Indices don't move unless Donald Trump tweets and then things like December of 2018 happen, and then all of a sudden you wake up one week and your money's at fucking zero and you're like, thank you, Trump. You're great. Make America great again. Fucking tariff man. The amount of things, these things are never going to happen again, right? It's never going to happen again. So you don't need to worry about those things. So, but the idea that, again, that we're going to just hang out here, I'm all for, but I think there's more movement. I do think there's more movement, and this is where it's very hard in these instances to continue to be a buyer instead of just being a holder. And you just kind of shift every month. You kind of shift your sector, and then you wait till the next earnings, and maybe you shift it a little bit more. I would rather just not trade anymore if that's going to be the case. And so the only way, again, we can't make things happen, but if we're going to trade like that, like everybody else, then again, just throw the money in a Vanguard or something, right? I say there's money to be made here, and we've proven it. And I think, again, does the probability of us catching timing go up or down? I say the timing goes up when the market's trading like this. And we've seen this in the past, and you guys have seen this, that when the market's trading sideways or just on a trend, it actually is the time that we get the most volatility on individual tickers we look at. And that's the space in which I sort of thrive in. And so, again, it depends, but I would say for technical trades that we make, our success rate goes up when the market's like this, and we take more aggressive bets when the market doesn't expect it to be aggressiveness, right? And so let's see what we get here today. Again, I talked about yesterday, we got this whip here. I expect another whip here today. And this is, again, where these kind of moves, you don't need much price action. Yes, we're taking very long-term trades now, kind of doing 3-month options. But again, we want to be operating in some spaces here where we can make some fucking money. And so be buying on lows today. Again, I'm not talking about Lowe's the store, but you should be buying on lows. If you haven't done anything and you're sitting around picking your ass, fucking chimp-brained out of your mind, today is the day to do something, right? Do something. The market's at an all-time high. People think it's going to putt around. Maybe take some chances here. People aren't thinking, do you think that anybody in this market, or do you think the average market participant thinks the S&P is going to be up by 2-3% by next week? Probably not. And I know that because I took that trade, right? It cost me nothing. And if the market is up, then I'm going to make 100% on that trade. And again, it's going to feel silly. These are kind of we want this kind of thing. We want this kind of price action right now, right? And again, we're buyers. That's it. We're just buyers. And again, this is the transitions that we do is the only place where we make the money. Otherwise, we're just making the same trade as everyone else, right? So the transition from being value dominant to the growth breakout to trading oil at its low and capturing all these things very precisely. Again, it's a testament to how things are trading right now. You're never going to time perfectly, but by just being there at the right time, and you don't need to be perfect, but by sticking with those trades and pushing them over days and over weeks now, I mean, there's plenty of money to be made. And I mean, it's the people on the sidelines that are getting hurt, and the people that are not, their money's not working for them, right? And I think some of you have stepped up on that idea that, okay, if my money's not in the market, then I really am losing right now. And it's fucking true, guys. You go put your money back in on March 25th and tell me what it looks like today. Some of you haven't fucking done that. It's called a few 100% on anything, right? not even, again, we're trying to chase perfection in a lot of ways, but again, this is where we've seen everything has gone up in such a way that it doesn't really matter what you pick, but if you do pick everything right together, and as long as you do the idea that the money's just in the market and it's gaining week to week, it doesn't need to gain every day, maybe down on the day, but it's going to be up maybe by tomorrow. These things don't matter. It's where's it next week? And again, look where the market is right now. All-time high. All-time high. Do you need to go to Twitter and find out what's the next thing to buy? Oh, it's going through new trial phase. Oh, it's going through the new trial phase. It's phase 2, phase 3 bio. Why not just buy the fucking thing that's here? Why do you gotta go find some new dumbass vaccine that doesn't exist yet? Go trade the fucking thing that's working, right? And it's like these kind of trades that you'll have people that are like, well, what about this new this new pharmaceutical, this new bio that might be that I've seen that the papers say that there might be a chance. And it's like, you're wasting your fucking time by reading that, and you're wasting my time by talking to me about it. Just buy the goddamn thing that's working, right? And look, what are we seeing now? Moderna's now coming out and saying they're going to do like 3 billion vaccines next year and these kind of things. And then it goes, really makes you think about this price action here. That now good news is coming out. And then people are going to go, oh, there's good news on Moderna. I wonder if this is a good spot to buy it at. Well, I bet it might be a good spot with earnings coming. And it's like, you're buying. Look where you're buying, right? Look where you're buying. We're up 30% on the underlying. You know how many percent that is on options? It's a few. Anyway. Some of you are going to go, what about VXRT? And be like, no, that's a joke, so it doesn't matter. In terms of, again, let me see, hold on. Let's take a look. Again, I bought Microsoft yesterday. Microsoft, GE, BA. Those three together. This is, I think, what's going to be interesting. Something like Honeywell. I talked about this move from here as well. Again, I'm bullish on the Dow side, of course, but it'll be interesting to see things like that. I talked about CAT yesterday, buying CAT at the low. What I wanted to mention was that I talked about flows. You had some things outflowing. We talked about this a little bit yesterday, of how we can look in level 2 and see those periodic orders coming in a day like yesterday on something like a value ticker like CAT. They come out and say there's a semiconductor problem. You don't see those usual orders there, so price comes down quite a bit. Of course, we buy it, so buying there, but we go chase those flows. So I'm curious to see if we are going to see those flows. Trying to find this money around the semiconductor thing is certainly, it doesn't, there's nothing you can read or fucking try to get for information that's somehow going to lend you to be able to make a good trade on that, and it's all going to be technical based, right? And so by trying to figure out the timing on these things, if we just do it better than the next guy, then that's all that matters. But you don't get to know. You have to just place the trade. And so it's like, maybe I'm right. Maybe I'm right, but I'm not going to know until a week from now if those prices are up or not. And that's the whole point, is that you don't get to, somebody's not going to fucking come up to you and tell you, here's what the price is going to be next week. You're going to find out next week, but if you're not in the trade, you're not going to know. And that's where the experience of over years of taking trades, you build up a knowledge of, okay, I watched this flow, years ago, and I saw that basically when some of this event came out of a supply-driven event, and it happened during earnings, that there was some negative effect in that people took off their long-term orders that day after earnings. Then I saw that this flow came out of there into basically, you looked at it as sort of an elasticity idea, and that it was going to go directly into something similar through a value idea that was also at a low for, again, a timing reason. And then they go and bought it for a value sort of gain over the next whatever amount of time. But you don't get to know in the moment, right? There's nothing that says that these things will happen, other than, again, you're trying to make a probability decision, and sometimes it's going to work, sometimes it's not. You just want to be right more times than not. And so the only thing, though, is if you don't take these trades, you're never going to make the money. So, again, it's like me taking this trade on PG here a few days ago. This idea of consumer, again, this was before the consumer numbers came out. When we talk about this idea of there's this sector of just consumer spending, and we talk about retail stores and these different things. Again, it's not something that just sort of, it's there. Somebody wrote it on Wikipedia, and it says, well, if the economic numbers are good, then people will speculate in the equity market that these prices are going to go up, and it's going to be a speculation that pushes retail up or something. These things don't. It's not like that, right? It's just a in the moment sort of feel based on where prices are and how people make decisions, right? And so, these things are not. Again, it's so fucking arbitrary that there's never. This is the problem with why I find the quantum computing thing interesting and how Goldman came out. There is no machine learning or AI program that you can make to trade the fucking market. Yes, 90% of the market is traded by algorithms. 90% of volume is algorithms. But they're not making decisions. They're just fucking making trades quick and splitting spreads and causing lower prices and better prices, right? They're not out there actually making big decisions on the market day to day, right? That's not what those are. And there's not really something like that. There's certainly programs, but they're all written by humans, and they're not sophisticated in any way, right? It's like me telling my intern to do something, and she does it and then gives me an output. It's input, output. That's it. These things don't work like that, right? So for right now, the chimp brains are working better. Get some good chimp brains out here. We'll see. We're waiting so far. I'm not calling anything else yet. I do expect us to have some weekend trades. Again, I sort of some of those from yesterday. In terms of getting a trade that just pays off immediately, obviously, if such a thing existed where something was so obvious that you could buy it and it was going to pay you 100% by Monday, then everyone would do it. So right now, obviously, things are a little bit longer than that. There's not really something that, we don't really have those things out there right now. So everything is a bit more like, oh, if we buy something today, then by the end of next week, maybe we can, if the stars align, we can get 100% here. But there are not so many chances. Like, it's just not, right? Besides, like, things like earnings, like Facebook and shit, like this kind of things. Of course, we get paid on this, but this is not something that we can go place a trade here today and then, put a significant amount of money behind. These are longer term ideas that sometimes are going to work out faster than others, but we're hunting. We are hunting. And again, a lot of these things are continuing to do well anyway. So it's about exposure to more, right? The more exposure we have that's positive, then that means more of our money is being exposed to the upside, right? Putting all of our marbles in the basket is not the greatest. See what we get today. Nothing yet. I do like I love the sideways trading because it does offer us a lot of opportunity. So if you did see, I posted the UDoubt. This is a one way to play a shorter term gain. I did it with the reason why I did it like this. I did the SPY play, the May monthly SPY play for 425 and 430s. And that's something very aggressive, right? Those were very cheap, but that is very much, again, opposite to the Gamma Hammer idea. This is a that's a gamma squeeze, right? You're looking for movement very quickly. They're very cheap, and it's not a very good play, right? It's not very good. The numbers are not good. It doesn't have intrinsic value. It probably won't hit most circumstances, but it works in terms of my portfolio right now and the risks involved. And that's like when you look at this, I post this UDAO chart. Everything is value oriented right now. You go bet that the Dow is going to be up a significant amount by next week. No one's really looking at it like that. No one's really, the Dow is, yeah, everyone knows that value is bullish, but no one expects it to do these kind of things, right? This kind of action in here. When we bet on shit like that, again, we did this with Dia back over here, right? It's it in hindsight looks like a very easy trade, but you have to take that trade right then in that moment, right? Right here. You have to take it right now. You have to do it right now and go do that, because what happens again is this influx of basically this supply that's it's not so much betting against you, it's just betting against it's betting for nothing. It's just increasing supply to get fees, right? And so you go take something like you down here. You're getting leverage, right? It's the leverage variation of the Dow, and you go make a trade like that. And that's something that you can push over the weekend. That this is less risky, and compared to taking like an individual ticker, this is like me putting things on Honeywell or the PG trade or taking the Disney trade here, right? That there's basically nothing here, that you have no guarantees of any movement, and by getting no movement, it might hurt you, right? But again, we'll see. Definitely, I'm still very much on the value side, and then I've now incorporated mega caps as this realm of spending, and I don't really know. We're sticking with their FANG stocks, and they're built different, that's for sure. Ford's coming off here. I mean, this is obviously, I'm sure a lot of you took this trade here, so I talked about it. You want to do it on the selling. I didn't specifically do it because I just feel like you're just taking a chance and you're hoping it's gonna go up, and I hate to take trades that I feel like I'm hoping something's gonna happen. I'm sure there's nothing wrong with taking that trade yesterday or today, betting on it to go back up, because it's going to go back up, right? I would rather, again, it's not a bad trade, but I would rather just trade through some different ideas. Twitter down here, we've seen this story before. I wouldn't. I mean, like, I'm not buying it here. I'm not buying it here, and this is, again, it's not so much that in another time I wouldn't buy it, but it's because of how I'm already positioned. Like, I'm long on Facebook, right? And we go to the snap trade, right? And I've taken the snap trade from here. This is like betting on a child being beat up, and you think the little kid that's getting beat up is gonna somehow come back and win the fight. Like, he's already on the ground getting his shit kicked out of him. Like, he's not gonna win, right? Maybe in 30 years when he grows up and gets bigger, 20 years, whatever, then he'll go back and beat the shit out of the bully, which in this case is Twitter versus Facebook. But I'm not gonna bet that this kid is gonna grow up and beat up Facebook. I'm just not gonna do it. So, I'll stick to when there's an opportunity to bet on this kid, like winning like a pinball game, like over here. I'm betting on him to win his pinball game. This would be me betting that he's gonna beat up his bully. Yeah, maybe in 5-10 years or something. So I'll wait for it to become, again, a different trade. Right now, it's a different trade. These trades are, again, these are swing trades with technical levels. This is an idea trade. There's nothing wrong with taking a trade here. There's nothing wrong with it. But again, you're taking it for a different reason, and you have to know why you're taking it, so that you don't take that trade and get stopped out 2 seconds later, because that's what's going to happen to you probably 50% of the time. And that's not the thing to be doing right now. Because then again, it's like, why am I wasting my money here? When you could take another trade and lose on another trade, of course, but you're at least your money's doing something, right? I'm ready for the whip. I'm ready for the whip, and I don't mean like whip as in like a BDSM sort of thing right now or anything, you sickos, but uh, the whip here, right? Again, there's candles in here. Where's the ghost thing? There it is. See, there's candles in here. Oh shit, you can't see because it's fuck. Here, there it is. Oh, you can't even see it there. Here you go. See, there's candles right there. Candles right there. This is a whip if it came up. There you go. This would be a whip. Fucking terrible. Open lower. If it went up, it'd be whipping. Good job. That's the expectation. Now, we were just at all-time high yesterday again, right? I mean, I guess we're not technically there right now, but we are here, right? We are here. So this is again where if you are somehow taking a beating right now or something, I would first, if you're down today, I'm down on a lot of things today, but that's because I was up a lot yesterday and the day before that in this whole week. And so again, look at it over the week, not just this one moment. That's something that, again, removing just looking at profit and loss has helped a lot of people here. Just stop looking at P&L because it's really easy to be like, wow, I am down 5% today. That really sucks. And then it's like, oh, but I was actually up 50% this whole week. So it's like, okay. Oh, my ticker gapped up 8% yesterday. Now I'm down 1% today. Wow. Oh boy, gee, doesn't that suck? Like, okay. So did you lose money today, or are you just down a little? Like, what do you mean? Everything okay over there? Like, good job on the Amazon trade, folks. Good job. Yeah. I'm very I'm definitely happy with the handling of mega caps. It's again, it's easy to be like it's everyone's doing it. Everyone's doing it, but I'm happy with the timing. I'm happy with the risks taken and everything else. And if you did take those trades, you should definitely be happy with those. And it's easy to be like, wow, I made money on Amazon. Like, wow, I'm like, that doesn't make you special, right? And you feel that when you make money on this. It doesn't feel special, but you should give yourself some for just being there and doing it. It's just like we all look at a problem or anything that's ever been done and say like, wow, I could have done that, but we never did it, right? And there's plenty of people that are going, wow, I could have just bought that. There's some of you here right now that didn't buy, and then you go, wow, I could have just, why didn't I buy that, right? And again, well, now we're weeks from those times, and some of them are still raw, but again, now you have another opportunity to do it again, right? This shit, it's just same thing every day, week to week. There's always gonna be something else, and you're gonna have the same feeling again the next week, and go, wow, I could have just bought that. I saw that. But again, it does take. You should celebrate some of the things, and that will keep you from losing your fucking mind when you're down for a week for no reason other than just the market's not ready for you yet, right? We don't get to dictate when we're gonna make money. We can press the issue as much as we want. Retail stores are going over the weekend. So, for instance, using XRT over the weekend, but there's plenty of specifics that you can use. Whether some of these some of these retail stores don't have earnings for a couple weeks, um, and so it can cause. The thing is, you're not going to see the demand on the options until like the week or so before, and so some of these, it's you're certainly taking a trade that you're betting on there to be more volatility next week and the week after that. But some of the problems here is that if you get pushed out of the position before that happens, then when you try to go back to buy in, you're buying actually at a higher price, even though you sold it. So it's like if you just held longer, you would have been up. But we don't operate like that, right? If prices swing down, we're going to exit. But, by the time we look at it again, it's already up in price. So these things the timing is terrible on some of these. So if I know the timing's bad, but I believe in an idea, then I'm just going to buy it and I'm not going to look at it. You shouldn't. I think that maybe that's something that I say more often, anyways. After you buy something, you shouldn't look at it again. Don't look at it. That's the idea of not looking at profit and loss. You find out after you make a decision later. You get stopped out lower. Okay, you don't need to look at it. It'll do it for you. You'll know if it's time to go take profit because you're gonna be fucking up and you're gonna be like, or you're not screwing up. You're gonna be up in a lot of profit. You're gonna be like, well, this feels pretty good. Time to take profit. Worry about that when that happens. Worry about it when it happens. Watching our travel trades again, we were already taking these trades and held through them. Held through them. That was the benefit of taking longer terms. That's why we did it. We'll see again how we do here. They're definitely in. They're ready. This is for a technical, from a technical standpoint. They're definitely in position. We'll see how we do by Monday. Again, today could definitely be weird for some of the travel tickets. We're sitting in them. If you're not in any of these trades, then again, this is basically the only short-term exposure we have for any sort of short-term moves. There's not really anything else. So sitting in these today could definitely be the day if we trade flat and there's not much to do, and then people don't really want to go trade mega caps or anything like that. You're just kind of sitting here. It could definitely could get momentum over there. And I would say I would think semiconductors today. We've sort of digested some of these things over the last couple of days. I would say semis are gonna, like this thing right here. This is just, it begs to move. It begs to be moved. So I'm bullish on semis. I think based on how it's all been negative, it's not like all news is good news or something, but all of it's shown how important this market is. And when something's importance is placed on something, the value goes up. So I would say that you should be getting some appreciation here. So I'm still bullish on the semi moves. I do need to, on some of these, get into a better position, but we'll see. And this is such a straightforward sort of setup here that it's definitely in hindsight going to be obvious. It may not be obvious now, but that's why I'm just going off of the idea that okay, I'm just going to get into these positions and we'll take a look at what they look like in a week. If I get stopped out by Monday or something because it's down 5%, oh well. Not going to cry. No big deal. The crude move, obviously we're holding through this, so the point. We'll see how we do here. The old Bob of Faithfuls. Creeping. Creeping. OSTK still continuing, by the way. Still continuing. There's gonna be some dumb moves. Oops, that didn't change. Um, makes you wonder. Oh, quick. Doesn't matter because we're riding, but it's like you're riding a roller coaster and you don't, not like you can get off. You're there. We didn't get to see this move go through intraday yesterday. So that's what's interesting because we opened above. So since we were already up there, we didn't really get to see the movement. This is momentum. And there's nothing else to do right now. And we haven't really seen retail do much of anything recently. And we haven't actually seen momentum trades be done. We haven't seen much intraday moves. So especially with earnings season, there's not a good way to be prepared to do anything chasing wise. Be curious if we put some fucking points on here. This is not an easy trade to manage, that's for sure. Because there's again, there's possibilities that you put a ton of points on here. Do you take profit on that? Like, do you just immediately take profit and then look to re-enter? I mean, some of this shit is not. It's not really obvious. Hmm. Okay, oil is coming back pretty strong now. Dumb move here. Hmm. Hmm. This is an interesting idea. Again, I keep talking about how I don't want to buy any clean energy or anything like that. Definitely do not. Definitely don't. But this is definitely a technical setup. FSLR. It just hit support. Fuck. Get in there. God damn it. Just going short term on some of these. Take the old short termer. How many points is that? That would be over 10% on the underlying. I mean, that could just happen today, so. Don't understand this price action. I do not. Very hard to tell. I just keep extending my line. Keep extending. I'm not going to convince myself on that sector. That's for sure. But I will buy these kind of things. So that is what I will do. I mean, this is just like, again, look at these lows. These are just swing trades that we're going to buy these as swings. And if it goes beyond that and it becomes something more, then we'll keep pushing it. But these we're gonna stick with just a very simple idea and not tell ourselves, oh well, solar is gonna be the next big thing. So fuck that. There's a technical trade being set up on some of these down at their supports. We'll buy them. You have cash, you can buy them, and you have a pretty good probability, right? Pretty good probability to be getting profit on these trades. That's it. There's nothing else there, and I'm not going to push this too far. If something starts to pull back a little bit, I'm going to get out of it. I want to get alpha where we can, and some of these are definitely, no one has any clue. This is all uncertainty. All of this consolidation is uncertainty. We already knew that. This is a lot of uncertainty. I wonder if we should take something like this here today. Not sure about Uber, but Uber is moving. Don't know. I like our travel trade going over the weekend. I still think that this is a very good spot for a lot of you. It's really a prime sort of trade. I mean, it has been. That with retail stores is kind of, these offer enough, again, these offer enough liquidity and then enough volatility to actually make some fucking money. But you can get out of the trade if you need to quickly enough, right? People are not sitting around on these trades, right? You're sitting around right now. But a lot of the supply and demand that goes into this is not people active. They're not sitting around. They're not sitting there. But the worst case scenario is really not a bad one. So without downside on a lot of these trades, you should be able to make money. And I still think the long-term trade is still definitely better. Done really well on this chart. This chemicals sector and everything is very value-oriented idea. Mega caps are holding value. It's the only thing that really matters here. Apple is, this price action is a little different, but it's still right at the level, so I actually don't have a problem with it. Again, the bid from yesterday basically pulled me enough. Gonna get paid to hold it, so gonna get paid to trade sideways. The other thing that I've been talking about is this communications thing. There's like communications, but it's like these anything to do with 5G and cable and these satellite and whatever we want to call this sector here. The consumer services is one thing, but I don't really think it's specifically that. It's again communications with sort of this cable and satellite sort of. It's more than just the service part. It's the fucking hardware with lines and everything else, right? Again, your Time Warners and again, we know these companies, AT&Ts and Verizons and shit like that, right? The price action we're seeing on a lot of these there's certainly some things going on under the hood. So, or maybe we should say in the hood, but uh the price action is just too much. It's too much price action. There's certainly something brewing. Something going on. I wish there was a way to bet on that a little better. It's like I'm trading tea here and shit like that. It's like doesn't really do anything. Like the what are we doing here? Uh like there's not a way. It's like, oh, you think there's a merger? You think there's going to be a consolidation in that market? So what's the function in which you use to go bet on that, right? You don't actually have a good way to bet on it. And I've talked about this, that if you think someone's going to be bought, then you buy uh, the ticker that's going to be bought, right? You buy the stock that is going to be acquired. Or if there's a merger, you buy the smaller side. That's like one way that you can do that, but that doesn't really specifically work if it's just a bunch of fucking mergers, right? And so you have to get exposure to the sector, but that exposure might actually negatively hurt you. And so it's like turns into it turns into what derivatives you're buying. And that's the most difficult fucking thing in the world. No one knows the ins and outs of that because we don't have you don't have good enough data. It's just not like you would need to you would just have to know the specific prices involved of where what things would be bought for. Like you would have to know. You'd have to know the value with the time, and then buy the options. It would be like you would need to sit on that information for a little while. You would need to sit on it, and then right up to like some sort of prime moment, buy the options so that once that news comes out or once that buy event happens, it triggers like this value and supply that because the supply coming in is what would negatively hurt you. It's that as soon as everyone finds out, the demand's going to go up, but also the supply side is going to crush you. And this is where you get kind of like the wave will be big, but the wave is going to fucking push you down. And so you actually end up losing on that trade. And so the timing has to be fucking it has to be like perfect. But it's again, you don't know where. So you're just gonna there's not a good function. It just literally doesn't exist. So can you short the acquiring company? Think of CRM taking after the work announcement. Um, this is well. So then again, this is where it's a question of whether or not like let's put it into. So for that example, that's you didn't know that going in. For instance, that CRM would tank because of the work thing, right? You didn't specifically know that that was going to happen. And so that's obviously the other part is that you don't specifically know what would happen. Now, what I think is true about this side of things is that when you see Apple spending a ton of money to go basically take over the country's 5G, that if let's just say let's say AT&T and Verizon merged, I would say that would be a net positive. They'd be taking that'd be wealth creation. They would now have I mean, we can obviously all be like, well, then they would have a fucking monopoly over this thing, right? So if you can somehow do that, then the prices will go up, and then that's where it comes into if you know what that net result's going to be, then you can bet on it accordingly, right? And it's not so much just about it's like let's say like when we look at these, right? What do we got? 236, 236 and 222 with T and Verizon, right? So we're talking like $450 billion market cap would come out, right? Now again, let's just say the prices become equal, but then what would people think from that point, right? Where does the value of this company go now? It's like it's one and one is two, but then where does that two go from there? And so if any of that idea is that that would actually be it would generate more value from there, then all of that pricing would happen before. And so this is again where you don't have a function to bet on that. So like let's say that T and Verizon are going to merge, they're going to do that for a certain price, and they're going to do these things in a certain way. Or if a company buys something else, they do it in such a way that they're the ones gaining on it because they're a public company, because they want to be able to, again, they want their price to be a certain way. It's like companies doing buybacks. So you can go bet on these things, but you may not make money. So it doesn't even matter if you have the information or not. But the reason why I'm talking about it is because that there's so much volatility here that we can just take it as a technical trade. If we're just trading it because we think something's going to happen, what does that equal? It equals more volatility. And so we would just trade it because of volatility. This doesn't work if it doesn't happen, though, right? So that's like the problem. So we can just bet on more volatility, but these are not. It's not simple. It's just not. So, and again, there may be nothing here. I may be seeing things. I certainly could be seeing things. But I think they're bullish, so yeah, that's one of the more interesting things that if you go like back and if you back test or you just look at old pricing for when announcements have come out or like a company has bought another company or anything, and you look at what's the best strategy. If you know that's going to happen, then what's the best strategy of trading around it? They're all different. It's all different, right? Every single time it's different. So it's very much about the derivatives, and that's where again it's about the pacing and the way the supply and demand is going to change, and in the only thing you could really have an edge on is like knowing the behavior that's going to come. If you know how people are going to react, like what are people going to do if they hear that news? Are they going to go buy something? Like if Apple was to buy Uber, what would the reaction be, right? Like like these type of things, like just having an answer for some of these like will sometimes help in these situations. Like, well, what if Apple bought Uber right now? What would happen? Like, what would realistically happen with price here? Like, what the fuck? What does that even mean, right? So, like these type of things, like there would probably nothing would happen. Like, literally nothing would happen. So, but it's like it would feels like there should be something there. Like that should matter in some way, but it probably wouldn't. Like no one would really. The people would care, but the price wouldn't do anything. It would be nothing. It would be met with all kinds of answers. And that's where trying to understand like whether or not a company purchasing another company, like whether that's going to have a net effect, we don't try to understand those things because it's trying to understand the fundamental side of things is just it's not, you don't know. You quite literally don't know. None of us here know anything. If we had answers to these questions of whether things it would be good or bad, then you'd be the CEO of fucking Google or something, right? And instead, we're all here sitting in pajamas, trading these things, temporary ownership, right? You'd be the fucking CEO. So if we had the answers, like, well, I can tell that I can tell that the financials are good. Okay, so can everyone fucking else. Everyone can add 2 apples with 3 apples. It's 10, obviously. Chimp brain. I'm curious about here's if Microsoft's going to buy back their stock right now. I'm watching it right now. I feel like we're going to they're all such copycats. This price goes down. Microsoft's the only stock that moved like this. And also, if you go look at the returns are just not as good because there's of course been like a few different things happening because of COVID. Um, I bet they buy their stock right now. If I'm at Microsoft, I'm probably buying my stock back right now because I'm looking at the numbers and going, "Fuck, man, people don't want to buy it down here. They'll buy it up at the high though." So we can buy it here at the low and they'll come buy it at the high. That's probably they probably have one guy that does that job. I would love to have that job. You work at um one of these big tech companies and you figure out when you should be buying back. That would be an awesome fucking job. I don't know what that role is specifically, but that would honestly be a really fun job. You just figure out at what time do you buy back stock. You just go to the board meeting and be like, "Hey guys, I think now's the good time," and they go, "Tell me why," and you just do some really stupid presentation with memes, and this is why the memers will buy it. I'm telling you, based on the gamma, it's gonna be squeezed out of its mind. We'll see. It's very. I mean, you would see it. We would see it with the market trading sideways. You can see things. So, trying to look. I think a lot of these things are happening right now anyway. And this is again, I've talked about this almost a month ago. And then we see it in earnings, right? And they tell us that they're doing these things. So again, you can see it in the moment and you can feel it, and it's like banks doing it. And we can see it and feel it. And people talk. Like these things they're not secrets. It's just how you harness that. I use it as a confirmation that I have more longevity in my trade, and I can push my trade further if a company's going to buy back, then I can push my trade further because I know that any lows that come in, they're going to take advantage of that moment, and they're never going to let it come down. So it's like the Fed holding our ass, right? The Fed pushed us up by our ass for the last fucking year, right? So I feel like confined in any of these times, like Apple especially. Like, it's kind of like this is you're you're it's ridiculous how safe you are here. Like it's just you're so safe, and that's where nothing really matters here, and it's hard to you just have to look past that and throw the price out there. Gross, gross. Do a run through. This Neo move is just God, help us, please. Uh, what are we doing here? All right, we're back to just the actual players in the EV market are the only ones getting demand. We're back to that. Ford, maybe we demote it as like a fake EV company for now. Right? We were trading it as an EV for a little while. That's how we were trading it here. And then now we're trading it uh, like Ford. We're going to trade it like Ford now. It looks like these kind of this is just a lot of volatility. And then you get silly candles that come in here. That looks like a true EV chart right there. That looks like a true EV day. These moves. No idea what's happening there. I have no clue. There's nothing, there's probably no better bullish signal for EVs and Tesla than looking at a chart and going, I have no fucking idea what's going on there, but it looks like it's going up. Looks like it's going up though, so yeah. Fucking terrible. Wow. We can't use anything from the past. It just doesn't help. You're just kind of Jesus. Whatever. Whatever. Maybe we make money from Tesla this time. Maybe we don't. No idea. People are so weird with these things though. Anyway, they think it's like the Microsoft thing. People don't want to specifically buy it here. They want to buy it when it's fucking way up here. It's very strange. You'll have more people buying it at $800 than at $700. Easily. Easily. Volume's been coming down a little. Oh yeah, as soon as it hit $800, perfect. Time to buy. It's hard to buy some lows. Docu coming back. What is some of the, again, it's like some of this shit's just kind of a little obvious. But some of the moves are just kind of silly. Kind of silly. Oh, now we're going up. Green Friday, folks. Good job. Oh shit, I didn't see your comments, you jerk. My bad. PayPal, Square in 4. I'm bullish on fintech. I'm bullish on fintech right now. These have set up nicely here, but I've been talking about some of the some of this move that we had this first breakout, and then we had to pull back, so we buy it. But then we get this pullback again, and I've talked about, I did post it with the squaring chart, that you get this price action right here, that it's like this you're sort of out of the consolidation, but then you're re-entering and you're sort of, I don't know if it's it's like it's a behavioral thing where it's, are we sure? Are we gonna buy it? And you're not sure if people are buying it, so it's like everyone's sitting here not actually truly pulling the trigger to buy here. So we just keep getting hit on resistance here. I don't know if it comes through this time. I actually don't know. But you have to take the trade each time, and so that was like over here. I took the trade. I took the trade back over here, and we were trading it with sort of like ArcF and stuff. And then nothing happens, and then we get stopped out again. And then it's like here, this here is better for the weekend because you have a better chance of gapping over it by Monday than you did during the week. But again, I just posted the squaring chart, so this is what I got. I talked about it. It's a little bit of in between here, somewhere in between with this trend line, and but you're not going to time it. That's the thing. Right now, you're not timing anything. So it's like we can see that this is at support here today. So buying at support here today, I'm still in the same, I'm still just sitting in this position sideways. Yeah, it looks like a nice entry from support here today, but that's not what the prices show right now. So you don't know if this is actually a good time or not. You just have to be in these trades. PayPal is the exact same. 4 is like the one that there's just a lot more volatility. This is probably the best example of you're going to have no timing at all. There's literally no timing here whatsoever. You're either just in or you're not. But these are bullish. I mean, they are bullish, so I don't really know what this price action. Do not know. Everything's reacting to levels. So I mean, if there's anything to be said, it is reacting to resistance. But yeah, I really don't know what that short term trading is all about. These were not specifically these were not specifically reacting to the market. They did the breakout as the market, the pullback with growth, but then the rest of the action here has not been consistent with the market. So it's like they just don't have demand or flow, and it just means people don't know. They have no idea. And that's, again, you just have to sit in that trade. Like, you look at something like Netflix, it's like you just sit in this trade and then it'll go up in the next couple weeks. And it looks really stupid in hindsight. But it's like the same thing. People don't know down here, and then as soon as it starts to move, everyone all of a sudden feels good about it again. And it's like, what was the point? What was the point? This is going to come back up to resistance, and then it's going to feel, it's going to be like, what was the point of any of that? And that's, again, like this type of shit that happens here. It's just so classic. The indecision and uncertainty, and then you just do it anyway. You literally just do it anyway. And so, like, something like Netflix here, I think would be the same. You're never going to time this. You can never wake up one day and go, oh, today's the day that this is going to move. You're not going to be able to time it. But you can sit there in this trade and then go, I know this is going to go up here. I'm betting on it. I know for a fact that in a couple weeks, we're going to look at the price and it's going to be up here. I can tell you that. But this is, again, how, do you want to sit there in a trade and time it? The whole fucking market's going to go up, right? You can just say in a year from now, the market will be up. So it's like, do you want to be a part of that trade, or do you want to be in a trade that's going up? That's where you start to try to figure out where's the actual profit and the alpha. And like I talked about, like travel and retail stores today are kind of those short-term volatile trades, and maybe those are going to be the ones that we get our 100% trades on going into next week, right? But again, that's like you have high enough probability to take those trades, but that's you trying to time it, right? You're trying to time those. It's not so much that you're going to sit in those. You're not going to sit in travel and watch it go down. But like a Green Friday. A Green Friday. Apple will come back up here, and things will get interesting by close, I think, for sure. And I think the market's way more bullish than it even is showing us right now. We're at all-time high, but I think we actually put larger moves on than the market's showing. So you get some of this, you look at the open, right? And it seems like things are down, and then now it's 10:30. Like, we're an hour in, and now things start to melt up, right? And then by close, we'll see what, but again, some of the, I don't know. There's nothing that you can take away from this. So we can't sit here and just go look and be like, oh yeah, well now, these things we've already made our minds up. We've already made decisions. This is not gonna do anything. It's not helping. And that's where, like, if I look at, enough charts, and then we put the pieces together and we see there's like, okay, we have 20 charts that are all breaking out in the same way. So I go, okay, oil looks like a good timing, right? So we take the timing on oil, the timing on growth, timing on banks, and we have timing on mega caps together. These type of things, but those things they're built on months of movement, right? Like, literally. So today's hard to try to put this into perspective and then be like, well, I bet there's probably going to be more volatility like this, like there was yesterday. Well, what does that fucking look like? These candles are terrible. Terrible. But there's no one really doing anything. That's why. TV was a good one. I miss having all the people in here and they'd be like, "Hey man, you posted TV and now it's down 5%. Should I hold it? I bought it at 13." I missed that. Hey man, I bought that at 13. It's now It's down 5%. Should I sell it now, or you said it was going to go up like 100% or something? So, like, damn, got that one wrong. Got me. See, that's those of you that don't know. This is called China regulation. Mess, an absolute mess. What I'm actually curious in is the India thing as well. I was very bullish on India, and now we have all this shit going on in India. All this adds up to is everyone's just gonna buy U.S. equities. It's just crazy. There's nothing else to buy. I said that like 2 months ago, and then a month ago, and now I'm saying it again today. There's nothing else to buy. There's literally not, and no one wants to buy bonds. No one wants bonds. Yields. Okay, someone bought something today, but barely anything. Just there's nothing else to buy. Yeah, bet on America. Everyone wants to come, or well, not really. No one. There's not really. Let's keep it. Let's keep it. Let's keep it very equity investing side. People want to buy. They want to buy U.S. equities and bet on big tech companies. People don't specifically want to be here either. Too many bad things happening. But we are dealing with COVID a little bit quicker than Europe and other countries, even though we started pretty slow. So it's looking all right. Looking all right. There's shootings every day, but you know, you can get past that. You can get past that. All right. What do you mean? Why can't I have a fully loaded automatic rifle just to walk around? It's for self-defense. Because somebody could, you never know what could happen. Because, listen, I need a fully automatic rifle with 30 rounds in it because my neighbor has one. So don't you see the problem? You can't take my gun away because more guns makes us safer, obviously. Fucking morons. Fucking take them all away. That could be the next big stimulus. Pay all the hogs money for their guns. Pay all the hogs the money for their guns. I don't know how it's ever gonna, it's gonna take forever, but just fucking do it. Just do it already. The dumbest thing in the world to keep acting like it's a different problem other than just we have the most guns in the fucking world. It's a gun problem. It's a fucking gun problem. More people kill themselves on accident than like anything else. Not to mention obviously fucking terrible shootings, but it's just it's insane to me. Yeah. Yeah, the obsession is it's just very it's I don't know. It's so they can fight the government and if they try to take their rights. Exactly. That's what it's for. Imagine, right? We spend $1 trillion a year. We spend $1 trillion a year on our military. Acting like some fucking dumbass with his fucking AR-15 is gonna do anything. And look, as soon as we have a problem, look what happened. Like, look what happens as soon as we have a fucking problem, right? It's just insane. It's just it's an education problem as well, and that's I mean we've already seen that the linkage between voting Republican, and not to shit on all people that are Republican, but to put it in like the perspective of like we've already seen that. I think it was like it was over 60% were white uneducated males, right? That voted for Trump, right? Through that, and then we already know that most of them are uneducated or Republican comparatively because it's like the city dynamic, right? You live in the middle of nowhere. You don't go to university, right? Doesn't mean you're a worse person, but not knowing that you're likely to shoot yourself in the fucking face because you didn't go to school is probably, you know, those things are linked. You don't see many you don't see many smart people running around with guns for no fucking reason. And so then they don't kill themselves with guns on accident or shoot their fucking husbands or wives or kids. Like, you're really pissing me off, Diane. If you don't shut the fuck up, I'm gonna grab the gun, okay? Wonder why domestic abuse went up during COVID and then in-house domestic murder. Karen, you're really fucking pissing me off. I've been watching that same goddamn soap opera every day with you. There's only so much beer I can drink. I'm not wearing a fucking mask, though. Either. Okay? It's some fucking Jew lasers. The Jews have lasers in space. And they're frying my brain. I need a gun. I need to shoot something. I'm so frustrated. I need to buy a gun. Imagine having that be like your rationale for buying a gun. I don't know. I just get so frustrated sometimes. I think I need a gun. I can go shoot something. That's not a problem. It's not the guns. It's not a gun problem. It's just people getting frustrated, obviously. Just like when I get frustrated and I'm here in the city and the first thing I do is I go grab my gun and shoot it in the air. Like I go onto my balcony. What's up, guys? Ba, 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 ba. Scary. Psychopaths. Yeah, literally. Yeah. uh, hmm. Just how radical is Joe Biden? Biden's pretty radical, bro. Wow, look, Biden's so old that he's in this picture with fucking Franklin D. Roosevelt in 1930. Look at him. Biden is so old, he's in this picture. Really makes you think. Are they gonna show me some graphs? Let's see. What a stupid chart, actually. Look how it's so funny to think that, and this is why corporations didn't even complain when Biden said that he was going to raise the corporate tax. Look at the difference between the fucking taxes. Jesus. When you put into perspective, it's like, no problem. No big deal at all. It's like we act like, oh yeah, they're raising taxes. It's not even it's not even close to what we used to have, like, at all. Even when you think of Reagan and what happened in that era, like it's just not even. It's not even fucking close. And that's where, you know what's funny is we get that argument. We get the argument about how if we raise corporate taxes, that those companies will leave the states, right? And that they won't want to start a company in the United States. Like that's always been the dumbest thing that's always been disproven by data because it's like go back. Okay, then go back and go look at the taxes. They used to be higher. They used to be higher when we actually were making things. Literally when we were making things. Look at this line right here is basically the population of Detroit or how many cars are made in Detroit. You can see this right here. This line is basically Detroitification in its essence. Yep. Right. Looks a little bit more violent though. That looks more like Detroit, but ooh, who said this? The Republicans are increasingly becoming the party of the old Confederacy. They no longer even pretend to believe in the principles that underpin our democracy. This Fukuyama. Fuck yeah, Yama. Like that. All right, OSTK came back down and is testing this. This is gonna be fun. Hold on to your lunch pail. How much do we have here? It's fucking really low volume too. Like it's more than the average up to this point, but fun. Uh, yeah. I mean, let's see. Neo's coming up to the resistance right now. It's these charts are definitely moving. They're definitely moving. I think the thing is with Tesla and Neo here is that I think it's very true that the more that it moves to the upside, the more people actually want to buy it. The more in demand it is, and you're removing supply as it goes up as well, just due to the fact that we're at all time high in the market, and these are getting closer. And then if you look at the contrast between these two, and also the contrast between Tesla and Neo to where they are compared to the market, they have a lot of points to go to their high. Like they have a long way to catch up, and the it's hard to it's hard to think about it, but Tesla is a mega. It is one of the six mega caps. It is one of the FANG stocks, at this point, and it's really far down here. I don't know if we can compare it to Amazon in this move down here, and how far behind it was in the price action here. So maybe more of an Apple. Just not going to be as consistent, more volatility, but it has a ways to go that should propel it. I just don't know. It's just disgustingly, you know, momentum based. Let's see. I said the Dow was going to do the best today. Did the best yesterday. Right now, the Nasdaq's doing the best. Obviously, mega caps leading the charge. Not sure if I'm changing my mind, but it definitely looks like we're going to get some push here. Tesla. Microsoft should be able to come from this low as well. It's interesting some of the dynamic there. The catch-up mechanic should come up with the mega caps like we were seeing, maybe before this new year, where we would see half the mega caps go to the upside, and then the other half will catch up the next day, next two. Travel's getting rejected on that resistance across the board. Cute. They're sitting there. FSLR actually continue to go down. So really, you know, it's always nice to be like, don't when you buy something, you shouldn't really be getting stopped out immediately after, and then almost literally 20 minutes later, after me saying that, I get stopped out of something that I just said I'm gonna buy. That's a part. But I did say that I'm not buying any of these things. So should have took my own advice, huh? What am I buying it for? Fucking bearish. There's no reason to buy it. Here I am though. Oh yeah, I'll buy it on the supporter. Nice one. Nice one. Good stuff. Really makes you think. Makes you think. Oh, we needed to do a COVID winner discussion. So we bought some COVID winners. We'll see. See. Not the most promising start here on Etsy, but all right. Eton, I talked about it. I didn't specifically buy Peloton yesterday. Um do you hate this chart? Let's see. What are the fateful short spy with April May seasonality? Says Mort Diggity. Okay, let's take a look at this. Curious. Look at this guy. Wait, who is this? It's one of you in chat. We get a nice close up. Oh god. That looks like a $30 suit if I've ever seen one. Or it's one of those. You know what that one is? That suit right there is one of those Macy's. It's one of those Macy's. Yeah, the Macy's rack. That's a Macy's rack suit if I've ever seen one. And his mom bought that tie for him. He's 22 years old, but he looks like he's 38. That's that receding hairline. Young man's. Yep. Anyway, all right, let's bring back. See what he's got. Let's see what he's got. Short the spy with April, May seasonality. So I can already tell. Okay, I haven't read anything yet. I can already tell that what he probably did was this morning, he watched Bloomberg with John Farrow, right? He watched Bloomberg, and they have this chart that pops up, this gradient of boxes over the last 4 years. And it shows for month to month how much the S&P was up or down based on the month, and it's whether it's red or green. And guess what? April into May is red. So I can already tell where he got that from. So, all right, okay, let's see what he's got here. Okay, so he said short the SPY. The end of April brings a selling opportunity, historically near the FOMC statement and the bulk of tech earnings. Okay, so he's already speaking to us in like as if it's like a month ago, but we've already gone past those things. Okay. Combined with the FOMC catalyst, I believe this is a great opportunity to either go to cash or short the markets. Wait, what? The FOMC catalyst and earnings, those two things were very bullish. FOMC was extremely bullish, and tech earnings were extremely bullish. Okay, but let's continue. He's saying to do the opposite of what we saw. The day after the FOMC, SPY posted a hanging man top. Oh god, guys, we get a short-term pattern. And so we're going to short the market. This particular pattern is pretty accurate, where the price gaps to a new high, drops to a low, and fills the previous day's close, then gets bought back up to close very near the opening price and hopefully just below the opening price. Okay. 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 I have very conservative targets for this short, since recent years have shown that the sell in May trade has been somewhat muted. I blame this on the QE earnings beginning in 2009. Okay. So we're gonna short the market because we had a bearish candle. But I'll be honest with you, since QE since 2009, 13 years ago, it hasn't really worked very well, but okay. He just proved why he should buy. He literally just proved why he should buy. FOMC was bullish, earnings have been bullish, and the seasonality that he's shown has basically gone away because of QE. All of his charts say that you should buy. Fuck. Oh, that one hurt. He got banned. How do you know? I don't know. Wow. Oh, he's a perma bear. Did we just repeat the June and September tops in NDX in the triple Q? He's a perma bear. Oh, and he's long commodities though, so he's got that going for him at least. He's at least a long commodities boy. Oh, but he longs into Black Friday. See? He's very much about the seasons and seasonalities. He should really learn about the cyclical trade. He did. He got fucking banned. He got banned. See? You can't trust this guy. I told you. But somebody read that. Somebody read that and just shorted the SPY. Because he's apparently got a fucking ass load of followers for some reason. I love that he got banned. That's great. Take it off the fucking front page then. Wow. Oh, excuse me. What the fuck is this? US futures are doing what they always do these days, which is melt up overnight to new all-time highs while we sleep. This guy knows what he's talking about. I don't know if he needed to draw all this to fucking say that. He could probably just leave it at that point. Oh, God. I am / we are currently holding positions in UVIXI, HUV, HQD, QID. This guy is just like our other friend that just got banned. He proves a point that markets are melting up overnight. So buy the close, sell the open. But instead of just buying long equities, he's buying volatility, which is the opposite. See, people have the right idea, they just execute the wrong way. I think that's really the problem. You just don't know. I'm learning a lot. I'm learning a lot these days. By reading more what these people... Oh, here's our cipher guy. This is our dude. This is our guy with the, Look, that might be me. Is that a picture of me? That looks like a AI-generated picture of some dude, but that kind of looks... It doesn't look like me. I'm a lot prettier, but... what's up with all these fucking bald dudes, I'll be honest with you. He's kind of fucking... He's a fucking murderer. I bet he has a gun. I wouldn't get anywhere near him. That looks like a very... It looks like a old estate house. That's like a brick staircase. Wow. Victorian era shit right there. I bet he's a fucking... Yeah, we're not gonna say anything, but he's probably molester, fucking racist too, probably. He's definitely Republican. Fuck Republicans. All right. I am finding it interesting. I'm seeing some trends. I can learn a little bit. Now, again, I'm not trying to market myself, so it doesn't really matter. But if I was going to market myself and try to help people, I can definitely see where people are going wrong. They do a bunch of research and they find out ideas, and then they do the exact fucking opposite of what they see. For some fucking reason. They go, see, don't you see? You see how the price goes up? That's exactly why I'm going to short it. Like, good one. Fucking genius. You got it. Would you make more money, or if you did this 100 different times, if you bought May monthlies today on Twitter, let's say just at the money's 57s or something, right? Would you make money more than 50% of the time if you went long here, or would you make more money shorting it? Long or short here? Which one would happen more often? That you'd make profit by Monday? Most people would say since it's so low here that it's going to come up by Monday. But I wonder if the probability is actually in the favor that this is likely to be less by Monday. It's really cheap to buy a put right now on Twitter if you haven't looked. It's pretty inexpensive because it's already down 13%. It's pretty cheap. No one really thinks nothing's going to happen. Volatility already happened. You might be able to go buy a put right here. That would be interesting. That would be a good example of doing things opposite that may actually work better. We're not getting the retail store move. Let's think. Let's see. You just got stopped out. Just get stopped out of retail stores. This is going to be an interesting one. Because this is something I think should be able to be timed a little bit better. This is not so much of an idea focus. I mean, it's idea focus, but the entry is very timely. I think I have to be in a position here for the weekend. For any of these. I think I put it in like the top 5 of sectors I want to buy, but Like our semi positions, they feel pretty solid. X has been solid every Friday, so get that. Doing well on bios. Like it. The good thing we switched over to longer term. Some of these things I can definitely see. I can definitely see weakness in if I didn't enter immediately on some of those in longer term because I gained like the average right now is like I gained 5% this week, but then today and yesterday we've lost like 2%. It's like it's very easy to see how you could be in a losing position right now and in a weak position going into the weekend and it might be shaky. Definitely good to be consistent with this sort of aggression of just get in now, and then you can manage the trade from there. Definitely seeing some weakness across the board today, but it's more short term take profit than anything, and we can hold through that. Just finally responded to a text from 3 weeks ago. It was pretty good. Not bad timing. Not bad. I always go, oh, what's this message? Like, oh, yeah, I would love to get a drink. You wanna get a drink? No problem. Doing well with economic driven charts so far, the tail end of this These moves have been interesting. I think to be expected a little bit with the earnings. But take profit from large move. This is going to be interesting to see if I can hold through this. Not clear. I think I'll give this a little bit more of a chance. 11 o'clock. Should be fine on a lot of these. On a lot of these value things. Anything on the value side that has been trading flat that may be looking like it's going negative today. I don't think that's actually what's happening. So things like this here where it's like, okay, Honeywell's been trading flat after some bearish action, really, right? But it's been very bullish. I don't think this is coming down further at all. And so I'm going to try to avoid looking at some of these charts being like, okay, this could be, honestly, could be coming down a couple more points here. I'm going to try to remove some of the view because I don't actually think that's what's happening here at all. And I don't want to have to, these are positions I want to be in. And if it's a position I want to be in, I don't really want to have to exit here and then time my entry because I don't think I have any clue of when you'd be entering on some of these anyway. And by that time, it's going to go. So I think what I'm going to do is just reduce or just kind of loosen up a little bit on some of these positions I want to be that I've just sort of re-entered recently or sort of entered recently. And I'm going to be loosening up my downside a little bit so that I can, because again, these are longer term trades that I'm trying to be a part of. And like I've just been saying, is you should not be buying and getting stopped. And I think a lot of that is, it's usually you not getting stopped. It's you're selling because you're watching price sell in front of you and you're worried, right? Like right now, there's somebody in this position going, oh no, it's going down here. And they're shaking. Their heart's beating quick. What it's like. You gotta chill sometimes. You gotta chill. To hang in there. That's why we have a new meme. Diamond hands. You need some diamond hands. Hold a little longer. Market's at all-time highs. You gotta chill. Put my apples down 20 basis points. You gotta chill, man. Okay, thank you for that. Are we gonna get the Exxon and Chevron merger? Or what? Feel like it would have happened during COVID, right? I find this price action a little strange. I think it's just reacting to the dividend, but I think anyone knows the math. All right, let's do the math. Okay. They increased their dividend. Let's see. 5.09. Okay. What is the math? Lynn? Increase the dividend. I don't think there's any value lost. You're basically break even. You're basically break even. I don't know if we should. I guess you wouldn't see it yet on. You wouldn't see it yet on the ETFs because they wouldn't have reacted yet. But I would say this is technically break even. You guys be surprised if I told you that the market's gonna swing back up by close? Yo, that's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking this right here. That's what I think it looks like. Like this. Maybe like this. Maybe that. Maybe this is a little bit longer this way. I need another. Here you go. That's what I think it looks like. What do you think about that? Huh? That look like to you? Pamp. Let's go to Macy's and buy a suit and post on TradingView. Kind of numbers right there. That's at least $100. At least $100 right there. Oh man, imagine making a few $100 a day. Whew. What is that? $20 an hour? $30? What's the average rate Anyone know what the hourly rate is? I think the average is like 40,000 a year for the US. What is that hourly? $20? Fuck, man. How do people live? This is the problem. We need to raise fucking wages. Start paying people money. How the fuck do you live? Pay some people some goddamn money. This looks pretty accurate right here. Oh, here. We can do the... Whoa, what is that? What is that variance? What is that? What is that? That's not what I'm saying. How do you turn? Yeah, turn this. Turn that down. There you go. Okay. There you go. That's a little better. I mean, this is a little... I mean, what is that? That's a little aggressive, but okay. Sure. Here you go. Hey, I mean, you guys don't even need to look at the real ones. Just fucking look at the fake ones I got here. I don't need to look at the fucking price section. Who do you care? This is trading down to support every day. Just hanging out. Yikes. What time do we whip back up is the question. Is it like yesterday? Lunchtime hour. I get paid. I want to get paid. Fucking broke, man. Want some money. Need to feed my family. Need a few more dollars. Feed my family. Couple $100. Couple hundred. Dollars. Yeah. Imagine if we were able to make money consistently every day from trading. and it wasn't like you made money one day of the week or 2 days of the week, and you could actually say that you make a certain amount every day. Oof, that would really make trading a lot easier. If I knew when I'd have the money, you could just set up all your trades. You could just set it up for the whole year. You don't have to do anything. Nope. I know I'm gonna have this much every single day. There we go. As soon as that money comes in, you take profit on like some random Wednesday. And now you have a bunch of money that now you need to go buy on a Thursday. Or it's like the other way. You get money on a Monday. Now you have to when are you know, these things you may not have anything to buy on Tuesday or Wednesday. So now you're like, well shit. Now I gotta that's the fucking somebody should make a YouTube video on that. I'd like to learn about that. Need some insight. Oh yeah, well, how much do you make every day? Guys, what's going on with the dollar here? What's going on? China. 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 But why this moment? They're gonna buy EVs, aren't they? Hmm. This is a tough trade. Okay, let's buy Etsy right now. Time to bottom tick some shit. Time to pump the jam. Pump it up. Anything else we're just holding through? We get stopped out of a couple things. Much else to buy on Lowe's. Only thing left is retail stores, but those are just, ugh, very good. We're in them. Here. I think I want to do the same thing for this. So for the COVID winners, I've talked about this. I want to be buying them at the lows. I think this is about as good as you're going to get in terms of probabilities. To be taking them at a low and then going into the earnings, and they're kind of the second trade on the growth side to come out of this consolidation, but they sort of continue to consolidate because all of the flow into mega caps and to everything else that was profiting intrinsically, these are so growth based, way further growth based. I think this is probably the time, and I mean like actually like the time right here, like it's 11:30, buying it here before lunchtime, at these lows, like that kind of time as well. Um, so I think I'm gonna go put this on as well. Etsy, and I'm gonna put on Etsy and Zillow, the old Z. The Zoom trade I already have. I'm just kind of in a long-term trade there. These are a little bit more swing. Gonna be a little bit more swingy on these. Gradient. Do this as well. I think the upside is your upside is very good here. You have about 10% upside until the next resistance on Etsy and Zillow, which I would say that movement comes next week. And so you already have a good argument for getting volatility because of earnings. And also you're going from support to resistance on both of those. We know that they swing from the lows. So as long as this is the low, you're going to be swinging up and somehow. You just don't know the speed, but I would say you're basically going over like a boost pad next week with earnings for Etsy and Zillow coming at the same time. The exposure there, both coming in, I think it's pretty good. So just put those trades on. Oops. That's about as active we're gonna get on things today, I would say. Everything else we're just holding, sitting in. Um, there hasn't been anything else. So the only other thing is that I need to do is retail stores. That everything else is holding. Anything else? What day is that? Like Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Again, I have this position as well with squaring, but I would say the timing is very similar. They're not the same trade, but a lot of these are very similar in the movement that would come. So I think there's some things to be said about the market moving together next week on some of these other. Again, these are like tertiary earnings. These earnings are, they're going to be more of the same. It's just again specific now. So we're already going to be reacting. We are reacting to mega cap earnings through all of tickers. And so if things do have earnings coming up, it makes the argument even more so that it doesn't so much matter. So what it's doing is just amplifying any move that would be coming, which if it's coming from support, then it's going to amplify the move up to resistance. So if there's room to move, then it should be straightforward. The timeline, anyone held? And yeah, we're not going to do clean energy. No solar today. No solar. So good Tesla. We have Tesla. That counts. Oh, look at you got one candle. We've started out well. How mad are you guys gonna be if this is exact? You each have to pay me $100. Fucking beautiful out there today, boys. We gotta go. We gotta go outside. Beautiful out there. There's a wind advisory though. Oh no. I need some sun. I get a tan on my head. So funny to think how disconnected all of these things are. It doesn't even look like we're on the same chart. It's like copied. It looks like these candles are copied and pasted. You just like copy and pasted this in there, threw it in. This is copy and pasted, throw it in there. Fucking earnings. OnlyFans blurs boundaries as lockdown demand drives success. I think it was the growing popularity of the babe channels on TV. Okay. Easy money. Easy money. And making OnlyFans, make a few $100 grand, throw that in the market. Europe close was decent enough. I'm gold out right now. Just gross. 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 4 people trading. Take a look at Bitcoin. Take a break for lunch. Bitcoin broke through the level and into the weekend. Weekends are where the action's at, so we're gonna get anything. It's nice price action so far. If we just look at it as from the day that the bid started, looks decent. Definitely looks decent. Healthy price action. Whether or not it's bullish or not, that's a different thing, of course, but I do like the price action. Catches my eye. Do want to see it clear this area. I think you do have some. There's on the technical side of things, you still have the idea that the idea of the supply here acting as resistance and you swing back down, and so you're talking about another low coming in here that my thing still is here that I want to know before I would enter again is this one of those situations where you have a downtrend? You have a downtrend, and within that trend, you have price action that creates local highs. And so it seems like in that moment you're creating a high, but then it produces a lower low. And so these local highs into lower lows, that's what I'm looking for here, is whether or not this is a situation where you're coming in and you're posting a new high, but then it leads to a lower low. That's what I'm really looking for here. So that's my question that I want answered. And I'm going to have to see the price go up soon. And at the end of the day, if I ended up, the funniest part to always think about here is that, let's say from where I entered here, right around 55, if I enter in up here, we're talking about at most like 10% higher. Ooh, big difference there. Doesn't really amount to much other than safety. All right, boys. Took a break for lunch. Yeah. This is what I expect. It may be a little bit more. It may be more whippy like yesterday. I don't know. I would say it's a little bit slower going in here, but we'll see if this starts to lend to more upside now. That's what I think it looks like. You come back, go into the high. This again, I think those tickers that we've bought on lows, they should be pretty good buys going to the upside. So I would, again, for anything that I'm buying today and I'm pushing over the weekend, I definitely want to create a baseline that I'm getting paid for some of the risk I'm taking. So definitely that's what I'm looking for. See, I think the dollar is interesting. That's the only thing that's today's a little different, but there's nothing to be said about it. There's just no takeaway from it. The only thing that the dollar being up a bit here is that China was down by so much yesterday that everyone there said, fuck it, I'm just going to go buy US equities. So they converted to the dollar. That's literally all that looks like. So, in terms of weakness, we have a lot of volatility, but again, a lot of it is coming off of highs. So it doesn't really amount to anything. And then the dollar here is this again, what is this? Is this the start of something? I pretty much just think that fucking people in China are like, fuck this, man. This blows. I'm gonna go buy US equities. That shit's at all-time highs every day. So yeah. But it does look very good for confirmation of our long trade, and everything still can continue to the upside. So again, there shouldn't be any fear. If you're in a position that's down today, but it's been up all week, then again, you should be in that position. You shouldn't be making decisions to sell or something. I don't. I mean, maybe for your position you need to, but I have not done so, and I don't think you should be. There's, it's gonna, everything is gonna be, in hindsight, look really easy. I think based on what we have for price action, I think we're in a very stable spot that is straightforward trading. That you just follow your ideas and stay consistent. You're gonna do well, and I think in hindsight, it's gonna prove that, like it has been, where you can just look at this and be like, wow, I wish I just kind of did something, right? Wow, I wish I just kind of did something. damn, wish I just kind of put a trade on. That's just kind of what we're in. So I think just more of the same. Again, anything that's taking profit is just from a big move. So individual positions, again, technicals still apply on all those. And if they never continued the breakout, then they're not for us. A lot of our trades have continued from the breakout, done very well. And for instance, oil on the energy side, like this kind of price action here, we're not selling through any of this. This is great. This is great price action. So any negative numbers today are certainly positive for trends, I would say so far. Besides, again, some of these things that continue to the downside that we get stopped out of. That clean energy, for instance, just not happening. Not happening. So, I will see you guys this afternoon. I'm gonna go get some sun. Fucking beautiful out here. So enjoy your lunch, and I'll see you in a few hours. Enjoy.